guys, Brain here. I was going to record an entirely different video today, but I'm just kind of frustrated about something, so I'm just going to voyage into that topic instead. I want to talk about validation. All the validations that behavior has decided to implement, whether that be towards like pallet validation. We're mostly be talking about pallet validation today, dead hard validation, all that stuff, and how these band-aid fixes are sucking very badly. Like very badly. I have had such a horrible time under the new validations they've put through, these band-aid fixes they've put on the game, and I want to talk about each one at a time. I want to talk about the dead hard one first, because I feel like the dead hard one is the one that's been like most covered by different people, so I kind of want to just get through it as quick as possible, and we'll talk about the pallet validation, which is the one that like really upsets me. Like really bothers me. So the dead hard validation indirectly buffed dead hard, because now dead hard works more consistently, much less than being exhausted on the floor, which is good in the sense that the perk is actually functioning. But also it gave it additional properties, which means that instead of like you dead harding like through and it gives you iframes, now dead hard actually gives you a physical hitbox that's invincible. Instead, that's how they quote unquote fixed it. So if you could literally body block for people using dead hard now, because if you run behind somebody and dead hard across where the killer was going to hit them, they will hit an invisible hitbox of like something that literally isn't there. It's just your dead hard. They will hit the dead hard instead of the survivor they were body blocking. So nobody gets hit there. Like nobody gets hit in that scenario. I remember there was this game that happened way back in like I feel like it was like earlier, like near the end of last year. Maybe it was in November. I was playing Huntress on Ormond, and I remember this because the Cheryl that I was facing, I had the whole team injured, right? And I had one person slugged, and there were 3 people up. The Cheryl goes for a save in my face against one person that I had hooked up. And I guess they miscommunicated the save because there were 3 people there. So 2 people went for the save, 1 person slugged, and 1 person's coming off hook. And I said, that's fine. I'll just hatchet the person that came for the save that was injured. And then I will slug the person that just came off hook as well. And then I'll win the game, right? As they're going into the Ormond building, Cheryl like goes to body block for him, which, you know, she's injured, so I should have known then something was about to happen that was bogus. She turns around to body block him, and then she E-keys. She uses dead hard, and she goes diagonally across the both of them, and the hatchet hits the dead hard space, the invincible box. And because you know, old dead hard, you know, the hatchet would go straight through and hit somebody because it was just iframes. It wasn't like there was something physically there. Now there's something physically there. So she essentially body blocked for 2 people at the same time while injured. And it gets worse. Twins players, as very little of them as there are, Victor now hits the dead hard because once again it's a physical spot. Hits the dead hard, lands, and then the Charlotte loses the power because then they can just kick you. Like this validation is like broken. It is stupid. Like it allows it to do things that it just shouldn't do. And now let's get to pallet validation, which is even worse. It used to be one of the dumbest things you could do in this game was to camp a pallet, because essentially it's a 50-50. You may mess up the timing, get hit by the killer. Other times, you may be able to sit on that pallet and then stun the killer and get away. Even then, that's wasteful, right? Because you could have gotten distance, you could have saved that pallet, but you're just going to sit there and camp it and waste that resource. Like, dedicate yourself to wasting that resource when you should have been looping the resource instead. Now, everybody can just camp pallets, because pallet validation is so forgiving. Like, so forgiving. It's not, like, ultimately forgiving. When I play on the survivor side, it definitely doesn't feel as forgiving as it feels on the killer side. But it is definitely like 50-60% more forgiving than it was before validation. Like, you can literally sit at a pallet and it's so hard to hit somebody through a pallet now. Like, literally, like I've straight up swung straight through a pallet, ended up on the other side, and then the game will no, that was a pallet stun and the survivor to get injured. Like literally swing all the way through the pallet, land on the other side. So like at this point it would be a reverse stun, if anything, and then the game will just reverse it, and I just got stunned normally, and I'm on the backside of the other pallet. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is like the single-handedly my least favorite change that has been made to the game in like the last 6 months, and it has made the game incredibly frustrating to play as killer. Incredibly frustrating to play, because now this thing that used to be kind of like, oh hey, that's a really unskillful play, it's a big risk that you're taking that couldn't pay off for you, is now just a safe play. And there's already so many safe plays in this game, like just spreading out on gens or pre-dropping the pallet way early. Like, there are already very, very boring safe plays in this game, and now Pallet Validation has added a new one that you can just sit at the pallet, and 75-80% of the time when you drop that pallet, it's just gonna... you can just camp the pallet. You can sit there like a dork, just no idea what's going on, and wait for the pallet to drop, and you will be fine most of the time. This unskillful play has become skillful because they could not figure out how to make the stuns work right. And if behavior's on this like this big trail of like, we'll actually make skill-based matchmaking work, why do we have a fix in the game that makes an unskillful play that takes literally zero brain power, you just sit there and wait to press the button, now a viable option? Now a viable option. Those people that used to camp pallets will get rolled. I remember swinging through every pallet. I would only get them about half the time, but you used to swing through every pallet. Because literally, it's dumb to sit at a pallet and wait for the killer to get right up on you. It's a dumb play, but now it's not anymore. Because pallet validation go burr. And it's just, I think it's just disappointing because like the idea was like, oh, well, these aren't permanent, right? Like these are just Band-Aid fixes until we can figure out how to actually make this stuff work. But it's been months and months and months and months and months, and it's still the way it is. It's still the way it is. And I'm just like, I have a funny feeling that these aren't going to change, like at all. And this is just how the game is now. Is that now the camp the pallet meta is back, if it was ever in the game in the first place. Basically, this bad play that sucked that we watched Babu survivors do and we make fun of him is now just a viable option. And that's just like the world we lived in now while playing killers, that they can just do that now. And it's one of those things, it's like, it's building up, it's building up, it's building up. So we introduced skill-based matchmaking, which only cares about doing the gens and leaving and escaping. And now chases don't matter. And now camping pallets is good. Like, it's like we're escalating the situation of, hey, we have skill-based matchmaking, but nothing skillful is happening. And we keep raising, or I guess lowering the bar. We keep lowering the bar on what it means to be a skillful survivor while having skill-based matchmaking. And I don't understand what the design philosophy is. I am so confused. Do you want them to do things that are hard? Or do you want them to do things that are, like, not hard? Like, I don't understand. Like the skill-based matchmaking would... Skill-based matchmaking implies that there's skill based in the matchmaking. That's why it's called skill-based matchmaking. But if you make holding one button and hitting a skill check skillful, and then you make sitting at a pallet and doing nothing skillful, like what? Like, this is what I made the other video about this. That's how you end up in a world where just like not playing the game becomes the objective. Like hiding and not interacting with the other side is the objective. Like literally interacting with the other side as little as possible becomes the new objective. And that is a slippery bad slope. That is not what you want for this video game. I promise, dude. Whew. Grinds my gears. Anyways. Thank you so much for watching, friends. I really, really appreciate it. If you like this video, make sure to actually like it. And if you want to stick around for my daily uploads, make sure you do the sub-aronis so it'll actually show up on your YouTube homepage. On that, I don't have anything else for you. Thank you so much for watching. On that, yeah, I'll see you in the next video. And if I don't, I'll see you when I see you. Bye.